Hello, friends. Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey. We've got a little bit of trade talk for you guys today around Christian Kirk in particular. And I am here to be a Debbie Downey. I'm only going to give this one star. I know it's very popular right now on Cowboys Twitter. I got some pretty big issues with it. Not with the player. Now, don't get me wrong on that front. I would love to acquire Christian Kirk. And the report from Mike Fisher, friend of the show, is the Cowboys have an interest in adding a player like Christian Kirk. And of course, this comes after a kind of weird fake report, which I'm going to call that Twitter account for the record. It's not reliable. Connected the Cowboys and Kirk, which originally came from kind of like a speculative idea of like, well, what if this happened? And then they ran with it as news, and it certainly wasn't the case there at all. It makes sense for the Cowboys. I agree with Fish. I would love to acquire Christian Kirk if I ran the Dallas Cowboys. Look at that production in year 2 for him. 68 catches, 709 yards, 3 scores, had a nice second season out of A&M. The Cowboys had some level of interest in him back in that year's NFL draft. He's a good player. I'd love to acquire him. A receiving core of Gallup and Cooper and Kirk, oh boy, that's awesome. And I'd love it for what Fisher suggested, a 5th-round pick, which I think is kind of in line with what the Cowboys might be willing to give up right now for a wide receiver. Here's my issue, and it comes down to who says no, right? The Cowboys don't say no. It's the Cardinals who say no. The issue is I don't see any reason why Arizona would want to do this, and we'll break down that more in depth here in just a little bit. But the Cardinals, why would you trade away one of your best receivers in an offense that loves to feature 3 or 4 receivers almost the entirety of the time? Now, from the Cowboys' perspective, I am all over this. Heck, I can give up my 4th-round pick if I am Dallas and still feel pretty good about the player I'm getting. A former early 2nd-round pick, had a very nice year last year, could be a perfect slot receiver for you. Also adds return value on top of that. He could be your new punt returner. Christian Kirk would be awesome for the Cowboys. I'd love to bring him into the organization for a day 3 pick. I think it's a fantastic idea. So my answer here is yes, I would trade for Christian Kirk. Now we're going to dive into why I'm being a little bit more negative and less optimistic on it, but I will make this the pinned comment of the video. So go on it. So if you get hit with an ad break here on YouTube, scroll down and cast your votes right there. I'm negative because I don't understand it from the Arizona perspective. And yes, at some level, NFL teams will just do stupid stuff, and that's intriguing to me. And I get the argument that's kind of been presented. Well, what if the Cardinals take CeeDee Lamb, right? That's understandable. If they go with CeeDee Lamb, now you got Nuke Hopkins, which is just a great trade by Arizona. Now you got CeeDee Lamb. Larry Fitzgerald's not going to go anywhere. And you spent a 2nd-round pick last year on Andy Isabella, or was it a 3rd-round pick? Whatever pick it, I think it was a 2nd-round pick. But it was a day 2 pick on Andy Isabella. And that intrigues me because, okay, well, then maybe Christian Kirk is the odd man out. Here's the issue. Christian Kirk was not the odd man out last year. He was not. Andy Isabella was the odd man out last year. Heck, Keyshawn Johnson got kind of a similar workload for than Isabella did. He was, by the way, a late 2nd-round pick. Fitzgerald is not going to be there long term. He's got another year, maybe 2, because he's kind of an unbelievable athlete. So even if you bring in CeeDee Lamb, and you have, of course, DeAndre Hopkins, you still need one of Kirk or Isabella, and right now, Kirk's the better player. Now, if I could get Isabella, by the way, for that same draft pick, I'm also in the mix there. I just don't think it's all that likely that the Arizona Cardinals would choose to move on from Christian Kirk for only a day 3 pick. He hasn't been a bust. Teams typically don't move on from quality players for day 3 picks, especially ones outside the top 50. Now, this could move up to maybe 2 stars if the Cardinals take CeeDee Lamb at number 8 overall. I think they might go offensive line instead. So we'll find out during the NFL draft. And folks, I want you guys to watch the NFL draft with us here at Chat Sports. We're going to be live for all 7 rounds. So go subscribe if you have not already, youtube.com/chatsportstv. That's where I will be during the NFL draft, breaking down every single pick. And yes, of course, we'll be breaking down the Cowboys picks as well. So if you want actual day 3 coverage, meaning we'll talk about the players taken in rounds 5, 6, and 7, unlike the failing ESPN and NFL Network, we got you guys covered. So go subscribe at youtube.com/chatsportstv. Now, the other trade potential target that was mentioned in Mike Fisher's report was Marquise Goodwin. And this one is a little bit more plausible from the perspective of the 49ers. There was already a report that Goodwin was mentioned in trade talks that came from Ian Rappaport. Now, I'll let you guys in on a secret, okay? When that type of report comes out that, there was trade interest in Marquise Goodwin, but he wasn't traded, that means that the Niners leaked it in an attempt to drum up trade interest in Goodwin because he is fast for sure and could be a vertical starter, which I think is what the Cowboys want. I think they want someone with better speed to run vertically. That's both Kirk and Goodwin. He's not going to have much trade value, guys. His salary for this year is almost $6 million, and he's coming off 2, frankly, down years. He was pretty darn good in 2017. 2018, 2019? No, that's not worth a mid-round pick, especially in this wide receiver draft class. And at nearly $6 million, I would wonder if Marquise Goodwin might be a little bit more likely to just be cut by the 49ers, or maybe he's wanting to redo his contract to go to a different team. I'm not convinced that ends up happening. So if you ran the Cowboys, for me, this discussion is pretty clear. I'm taking Christian Kirk every time over Marquise Goodwin. He is a better player right now. Probably not as fast, but he's still got some good wheels. And he's cheaper in terms of the salary involved, and he's under contract for a little bit longer as well. It's a no-brainer for me. I'm taking Christian Kirk here over Marquise Goodwin. However, those were not the only names, at least briefly mentioned in that Mike Fisher report. Before we dive into that, though, got some Cowboys gear for you guys. 25% off Cowboys jerseys at chatsports.com/Cowboys jersey. That is chatsports.com/Cowboys jersey, up to 25%. There's a big promo code. You can't miss it. It'll probably apply automatically at checkout for you guys anyway. Also includes custom jerseys. And do not worry, I'll put that link in the comments and the description for you guys. So all you have to do is click and go shop, figure out whatever jersey you guys want. Now, Kirk, a little tough from the Cardinals' perspective. Goodwin, I'm not sure the Cowboys would truly want to pay a pick and his salary. There are some free agent slot receivers out there, though, right now. Rashard Higgins, who we have mentioned before on the show. He could play some slot. Fish isn't as convinced and that he's unsigned. Well, it makes some sense there. Tavon Austin, still a free agent. No one has expressed interest there. I think he signs after the draft. And, of course, the one and only Dez Bryant also involved here, because how could he not be mentioned? Though he hasn't been a slot receiver. If the Cowboys don't spend an early pick on receiver, if they wait till, late round 3, round 4, I'm still where I've always been for Dez Bryant. There's nothing wrong with a one-year deal with little to no guaranteed money. I'm all for that. Let him see. Let him compete for a role. Maybe he makes the roster. Maybe he doesn't. But there's nothing guaranteed about bringing in Dez Bryant in terms of fixing your slot receiver spot. And he doesn't help you much on special teams. Finding that role for Dez at his age, with coming off the injuries, legitimately could be a little bit tricky. But go ahead and cast your votes. Type X for yes or P for pass when it comes to Dez Bryant. I am in if it's a low guaranteed money deal, but assuming Dez Bryant fixes your number 3 wide receiver issue right now, that's a bad assumption, and you guys know what happens when you assume. In the end, I think the potential most likely outcome for fixing the Cowboys' number 3 slot receiver need comes in the draft. I'm not convinced this organization spends a premium pick on a wide receiver in round 1, even if there's someone there. But round 2, round 3, round 4, there's going to be value there. There's going to be good players on the board who could come in and potentially make an instant impact for you at wide receiver. And you need somebody. You have Amari Cooper. You have Michael Gallup, Devin Smith, Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown. Those guys haven't played much in the NFL. And when they have played, they haven't been very reliable or impressive or, frankly, even that consistent. So for the Dallas Cowboys, you have to find a receiver. You have to spend a premium pick if you include round 4 as a premium pick. The good news for Dallas, it is a loaded wide receiver draft class. And if by chance the Cardinals take CeeDee Lamb and one of Christian Kirk or Andy Isabella is on the trade block, and those two combined might be more along the lines of 2 stars, then I am very interested. But if not, I do trust the Cowboys' ability to find a slot receiver because there are a bunch of good ones in this year's draft. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.